What's up, everybody? You're very welcome along to tonight's Late Night Agenda. I would say I'm your host, Craig, but, you know, after the name I was given on yesterday's watch-along, well, lack of a watch-along, I think I want to go with Crackhead Craig from this point onwards. Now, I want to make very clear, when I say I want to go as Crackhead Craig from this point onwards, I don't mean crackhead in the sense of the drug. I mean C-R-A-I-C. I want to make that very clear, but I do like that name. I've been telling my family I only want to be referred to now as Crackhead Craig around the house. I refuse to answer to anything else, ladies and gents. How are we all? Lots to get through tonight. Look, we've spoken about the whole stuff around the owners. We'll go through that as well. We'll have a little look at the transfer window. I'll read you guys out the statement from the Premier League today about the new charter that they want to bring out around ownership of clubs and structure of clubs and stuff like that as well. But yeah, nice to see a few people happy in the chat again. Nice to see you all in fine fettle. I always love to see positive stuff from the chat before I come on, because it puts me in a good mood. So don't think I don't read the chats, folks. I do. I sit here reading them when I'm waiting to come on. Sancho not joining, you clown. Right, let's start off straight away by saying, Jacob, go fuck yourself. Nobody cares what you have to say. It's time to go up and wrap your arms around that little fluffy teddy bear that Mammy's had for you since you were a special young boy, mate. Call Mammy up, tell her it's bath time. When you get out of the bath, mate, and she puts in the Johnson baby water, you know, the fresh stuff that makes you smell oh so good and so clean. Now, when your Mammy's putting you into bed tonight, Jacob, say that nobody gives a fuck about my opinions about Jadon Sancho, because we've got better things to be getting on with to dealing with little you. So just tell your Mammy that when she's tucking you into bed tonight, mate. Now remember, the good Johnson stuff in the bath, not the cheap stuff. We need the good stuff. So make sure that you're smelling all fresh and clean. Maybe a little bit of eucalyptus to put you off the drifting into sleep tonight, mate. But again, we just want to ram home the point that none of us give a fuck about your opinion on Jadon Sancho. And call me a clown all you want, mate. I'm a clown that has people tuning in every night to watch him. Well, you're still sitting up there clutching that little teddy bear, getting for the special bath water for that special moment where Mammy tucks you in at night. How are we, ladies and gentlemen? Loads of people saying Sancho to United. Look, don't be having a go at me, motherfuckers, like I'm the one that's coming on here demanding that Jadon Sancho arrive in Anfield. All I do is deliver you guys the news, come on to have a chat about it, and those little, you know, unnerving little United fans that want to have a jump down my throat thinking that they own Jadon Sancho, just shut the fuck up. Just know that I'm here to talk about what's in the papers. I don't write the headlines. I just come in and have a chat about them, you absolute lunatics. And I mean that in the kindest possible way, because you are my very favourite type of lunatics. Thoughts on Coutinho to Everton? Good enough for him. Leave him be. Fuck him. Send him off there. Don't care what happens to Felipe Coutinho. In my eyes, he's gone. Yeah, so there you go. Right, look, let's have a talk around Jadon Sancho, shall we? Because I want to bring this up just because I know it's going to annoy so many of the little Manchester United fans that have been so nice to me over the past few days, but heaven forbid Craig talks about Sancho to Liverpool, then all of a sudden, all the goodwill's out the window, all the kindness over the past week, fuck that shit. Craig's talking about Sancho to Liverpool, how dare he stone him, kill him, draw and quarter him, have him tarred and feathered. Relax, it's only transfer window talk, it's good, it's all good. Calm down. Right, let's have a chat around Jadon Sancho and see where we are. Now, everybody, don't get your knickers in a twist. Calm down. We can talk about this like grown-ass people. Jadon Sancho is going to move on from Borussia Dortmund this summer. At least that's what Michael Zorc has been rumoured to have said, that there's a gentleman's agreement in place that we'll see him leave if a suitable offer comes into Borussia Dortmund this month. Now, what that suitable offer looks like, I don't know. There's talk that maybe it'll be around the £80 million mark, something like that. And we do know, this is the part you like, Manchester United fans that are watching, we do know that Manchester United have put in a lot of groundwork on Jadon Sancho. I'll be the first one to admit that. But am I going to turn my nose up to an article that suggests that my club, Liverpool, are interested in Sancho? Am I fuck? I want to be all over that, and I want to be dreaming like everybody else that that's the type of player that Liverpool are looking to attract. So while we are being linked with them, and while we don't know what's going to happen ahead of the summer window, I'm quite happy to have these conversations around the likes of Sancho and stuff like that. But there you go, that's where we are. See, it's all good, no need to be getting too worked up. Now look, I want to bring your attention, we will get back to transfers, folks, because we've got a lot to get through, but I want to bring your attention for a second to the Premier League announcement today, and I'll read it out to you in its entirety. Actually, let me just pull up my notes, that'll make it easier. Let me just pull my notes up on the screen. Right, so this is what... there's Ruby out, right on time, the back garden next door, just to bark while I'm trying to read stuff out. So, this is what the Premier League statement have put out today, and it's with regards to the ownership and clubs potentially leaving the Premier League, like we've seen with the whole Super League nonsense over the past few weeks. So this is what they've said. The events of the last 2 weeks have challenged the foundations and resolve of English football. The Premier League has prepared a series of measures to enshrine the core principles of the professional game, an open pyramid, progression through sporting merit and the highest standards of sporting integrity. These measures are designed to stop the threat of breakaway leagues in the future. Opposition to the proposed Super League united the whole world of football, with the fans' voice clearly heard. The Premier League recognises the strength of feeling and the right of fans to know what is happening. We are committed to maintaining close dialogue with the supporters and their representatives as we work with the FA and the government to identify solutions, but ask that all protests are peaceful. The actions of a minority of those present at Old Trafford on Sunday have no justification and will be investigated by the Premier League and the FA as well as the Greater Manchester Police. The action of a few clubs cannot be allowed to create such a division and disruption. We are determined to establish the truth of what happened and hold those clubs accountable for their decisions and actions. We and the FA are pursuing these objectives quickly and appropriately, consulting with fans and government. In addition, the Premier League, supported by the FA, is taking the following actions to protect our game, our clubs and their fans from further disruption and uncertainty. Additional rules and regulations to ensure the principles of the Premier League and open competition are protected. A new owners' charter that all clubs will be required to sign up to, committing them to the core principles of the Premier League. Breaches of these rules and the charter will be subject to significant sanctions, and we're enlisting the support of the government to bring in appropriate legislation to protect the football open pyramid principles of sporting merit and integrity of the football community. We'll work with fan groups, government, UEFA, the FA, the Premier League, the PFA and the LMA to defend the integrity of future prospects of English football. Right, there's a lot to get through there, ladies and gents. There's a lot to unpack in that statement. So basically, I'm reading between the lines here, but looking at what they've put out there, I would suggest that there probably won't be too hefty of a punishment for the Premier League 6 clubs if you want to look. Now, again, I'm taking what I want to see from this. I'm not saying this is gospel. This is just my opinion. I look at that and it makes me think of, right, we were caught with our pants down a little bit with regards to the breakaway of the 6. They also know how powerful the 6 clubs are, particularly United and Liverpool, City, Chelsea. I mean, Spurs and Arsenal are a bit of an anomaly in this whole top 6 stuff. So they want to make sure that this doesn't happen again, and I absolutely understand and appreciate where the Premier League are coming from. But what they don't want to do, or at least they won't want to happen, is that they push these teams further away from feeling like they want to be in the Premier League and pushing them towards Florentino Perez and that Super League. So I think this is just something that they're going to put out to stop it happening again. So kind of, you caught us once, like fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, or fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. I felt like George Bush there actually for a second when I was getting that wrong. So I think what they're going to do is bring in this now to stop it happening again in the future. Now, whether they get all clubs to sign up to this, I don't know. And what's also going to be interesting is, like most changes to Premier League rules and regulations, there will need to be a vote, I believe, unless there's something that I'm not aware of here. But will they get the necessary votes? It's usually 14, and surprisingly on this one, 14 clubs are not included, and 6 are or were included in the Super League proposal. So we'll have to keep an eye on this and see how it goes around. And it's a bit boring, I know, but it is something that we need to keep an eye on, because we can't take our finger off the ball here, or take our foot off the ball with regards to the fan movement and the 50+1 model and the way we want fan representation in football clubs. We can't be disguised by smoke and mirrors and other stuff like that as well. We can't be distracted, I meant to say. But yeah, there's a lot to get through there. I mean, you're talking about a lot of conjecture, a lot of whataboutery, and it's a very difficult situation, because I can understand why each individual set of fans are unhappy about certain things. So we've got the Glazers, obviously Manchester United, 16-year reign of terror there, $1 billion taken out of the club, leverage buyout with the club, and not great owners in any way, shape or form. So you've got United's fans who are rightly pissed off with their owners. Then you've got Arsenal and the Kroenke situation. Look, I will be honest, I don't pay too much attention to it, because I really couldn't give a shite about Arsenal. So I look at this from a Liverpool perspective, and we have our own owner issues, but they aren't the Glazers. It's important that we put that out there. None of us will ever forgive what's happened with regards to the Super League, but we don't have a calibre of owners that are as bad at face value as the Glazers are at Manchester United. But interestingly, ladies and gentlemen, I read a very good piece earlier on by Oliver Kay in The Athletic, and it said that, make no bones about it, I'm kind of, spitballing here, but the gist of what I took from the information of the article was that John W. Henry and the Glazers are very, very close behind the scenes on a boardroom level, and that their fingerprints are all over this. So again, we need to be careful, because I'm seeing the two-faced side here of our owners. We see the side that knows when they've made a mistake, put their hands up, but have they learned from these mistakes? Will they do it again? I seem to be inclined to think yes, they will do it again, and no, they haven't learned from their mistakes, and they are ruthless business people, and they have no sentimental attachment to a football club, and that's probably going to be the same of most owners that come in. So I think for us right now as Liverpool fans, we need to figure out what we want, and then we need to look at the bigger picture and figure out what we need as all-around football fans to protect the English game and the structure of the English division. And I'm very, very much conflicted about how we do that, because I absolutely am in solidarity with the United fans, but yesterday wasn't so much about the Super League with Manchester United fans. It was about their ownership and the shambolic ownership that they've had of that football club. So I'm in solidarity with United fans on certain things, but then we do all have our own individual issues to sort out as well. What else have we got? Hey Craig, just tuned in. How are you? I'm good, man. I'm good, thank you. I want to believe that apology video, but I can't. That's where I am as well, man, because look, they've done a lot of good stuff. No denying it. I mean, Old Trafford. And again, I want to keep comparing the two clubs because I think it's a valid point to make. Old Trafford is starting to become, I don't want to say derelict, but it's, it needs upkeep, it needs renovations. And the money that goes out on interest payments and the money that goes out on dividends to shareholders is very much a different setup to what's happening at Liverpool. Our owners have come in, they've used their own money to buy the club, albeit a relatively small amount of money in the big picture compared to what it's worth now. But that being said, they used their own money, they put no debt on the club. They came in, they've done some stuff right, some stuff wrong. The furloughing of staff, the £77 tickets, the EFL, or the Super League stuff, Project Big Picture, and a few other bits and pieces as well that none of us have been happy with. Balance that against the new stand, the Annie Road end, Jurgen Klopp, a Premier League. It's difficult. It's difficult because they're not villains, if you get where I'm coming from. But I just can't get past this latest one. Everything else I found a way to forgive them for. Everything else I found a way to at least find some sense behind what they were doing, or at least see it from their point of view. From this perspective, with regards to the Super League fiasco, I just see greed. I just see, I won't say a hatred towards fans, but calling people legacy fans, just seeing the bottom line and just brushing over the history of the clubs and the history of the way that we support and the history of European football and the wherever we might think about whether it's fair or not, and there is some gaps between the haves and the have-nots in English football. But if you look at the German model really closely, Bayern Munich run that league. Every single year they go in and cherry-pick the best managers, cherry-pick the best players. So there are some positives about wanting fan representation on boards, a lot of them. But I don't think we can look at this 50+1 rule as some beacon of hope for football, because look, the German league's sewn up. Bayern Munich win it almost every year, take the best players, take the best managers. It's not the most competitive league. But what we do have in the Premier League that's a little bit different is a league that the Big Six might not be the Big Six in 10 years, and some of them weren't the Big Six 10 years ago. So there is still a competitive nature there, and it's how we protect that with getting fan involvement. That's where I'm struggling to find the connection here. But look, this is for people far more intelligent than me to figure out. I'm just a mere old fan sitting here in front of a computer, haven't got the know-how that these guys would have at the level. Yeah, so I'm willing to leave it to these guys to figure out, but at the same time I'm worried that this might just get swept under the carpet, and I don't want it to, because I love the idea of a revolution in English football. I love the idea of some fairness, but I think there's too many people with vested interests for it to be an easy transition. I hope that makes some sense. That's Craig's waffle for the day out anyway. Right, let's talk about Sancho again. Sancho to United, mate, not Liverpool. Again, don't get your knickers in a twist. You don't. It was Fabinho to United. That didn't happen. You had your chance to get Sancho last year. You shit the bed on it. If he goes to Liverpool, which I don't have any clue if he will or not, but if he does, it's another one that your owners have fucked up on you, mate. Don't have a go at me about it because you want Sancho. And Sancho may well end up at United, but right now there seems to be more and more articles coming out that suggest Liverpool are willing to throw their hat in the ring for Jadon Sancho. And I don't know if that's because they've been given encouragement. I don't know if it's because it's lazy journalism. I don't know if it's because Jurgen Klopp really wants him. I don't know if it's because we may be moving somebody on. I don't know. But what I do know is the articles are becoming more frequent, and people that are respecting the game are starting to talk about it a bit more. So rather than getting your knickers in a twist as a United fan or maybe watching this, coming in and having a go, just try and think it through and try and rationalise it. Should you be surprised that more than one club are interested in Sancho? No, of course not. Same way there's not just one club interested in Haaland or Mbappe. There's some big money moves going to happen this year, and it's going to take one deal to trigger it all off. And we've got Paul Pogba at United, 1 year left on his deal. We've got Neymar or Mbappe, 1 year left on his deal. What happens to these players? What happens with Haaland? Will he move this summer? Will he move next summer? There's so much that we need to unpack, and I'm very intrigued to see what goes on. Big Josh said, "Hey Craig, suffering with general anxiety. Any tips?" See, the problem is here, mate, the whole thing is in the name of it. Generalised anxiety disorder. It's quite a wide-ranging thing, isn't it? As somebody who suffers with it myself, I've seen people on different ends of the spectrum. So what I would say to you, buddy, is first stop should be a visit to your GP. Have a chat with your GP, and your GP will be much better placed to assess you, obviously, and give you the right type of advice than myself. But in the immediate future, right now, just try and chill, buddy. Just practice your breathing, try and do as much mindfulness as you can, but I would urge you to definitely go and see your doctor, mate, because I can't be giving you out any advice on anxiety. I'm just a football fan. What else have we got? John Henry knew how to play the long game, shrewd businessman. Look, the way that's another part I struggle with all of this, is I don't think any of us ever had any issues with John W. Henry coming into Liverpool, or FSG coming into Liverpool and doing the club up, for want of a better phrase, making it more valuable, winning some trophies along the way, and getting a shitload of cash when he sells it off down the line. I think everybody kind of knew that was the plan. It was just this looking us in the eye and stabbing us in the back over the Super League that just doesn't sit right. It shows a different side, I think, to FSG and to John W. Henry that we may have been somewhat blinded to, some of us, because some people have been very cautious towards the owners since day one, and I think, once bitten twice shy with regards to what happened before with Hicks and Gillette, and they did come in with a lot of goodwill behind them, and they have done a lot of good stuff, but I just really struggle with this one. I don't think there's any way back for me on this one. I just don't. I just think I will tolerate them while they're here, but I don't want them here. I don't want them here anymore at all. I say here like I'm sitting in the middle of Liverpool, but you get where I'm coming from. Again, I see more Manchester United fans with their knickers in a twist in the chat saying, "You're not getting Sancho, he's ours, and we're getting our Ronnie back as well. We're getting our Ronnie back, we're keeping Paul Pogba, and we're getting Jadon Sancho, and I want it. Relax. Calm the fuck down. It's all good. It's just a chat amongst friends." Do you realistically think we'll play Champions League football next season? No, I don't. I'm that ship sailed for me after we dropped points against Newcastle and Leeds. To me, that's out the window. I don't see any. And look, I don't want the points awarded to Liverpool, by the way, for that game yesterday. Let's talk about that for a second, because I've seen, again, some conflict amongst fans out there. Anybody that I've spoken to around this who's a Liverpool fan does not want the points awarded to Liverpool. We want it to be played out on the pitch like it should be. What happened yesterday was, it wasn't a great look from a point of view of policing and stewarding around the stadium for me, because you could have seen what was coming to a little extent. So I don't want to see United punished for that, because I don't want to see the players, the manager and the fans punished. So I'd rather we just reschedule the game and it gets played. Now, where you fit that game in, I don't know, because I'm sure you've looked at the schedule as well and it looks pretty tight. So it's going to be difficult, but I don't want Liverpool given the 3 points. I want the game to be played on the pitch. That's where football should always be resolved, in my opinion. And there is some precedent out there to suggest that maybe Liverpool could be awarded the 3 points, but I don't think that that's what anybody wants to see. I don't think that's what Klopp wants. I don't think that's what Solskjaer wants. And I don't think it's what us fans want. And then we have to take into account Sky, who will have paid a shit ton of money to broadcast that game. And they won't want it to be just glossed over either. So it's going to be an interesting one, but I hope that they find a way of getting it played, because none of us want the game to be sorted out with Liverpool awarded the points. I'd rather, whoever wins, and so be it. But getting back to the Champions League question, no, I don't think we deserve to be in it. If we're really honest with ourselves, I don't think we deserve to be in the Champions League. We've had such a shambolic season, through injuries, through COVID, through no fans in the stadium, through maybe a bit of a hangover from last season, through tiredness, lots of stuff. It's just been a perfect storm of calamities for Liverpool, and maybe this will help refocus, get people hungry again, and hopefully come back next season, looks like in the Europa League. But, we are where we are, folks. No news at all, Mark, on when the game will be played, mate. No. Anything new on Basuma? Sort of. I have been sent a few things to say Liverpool are certainly ramping up what they're looking at now. There was an article that was doing the rounds the other day that suggested that Liverpool were in what they would be one of the final stages of their analysis of the player, where they look at their private life, their personality traits, all this kind of stuff that goes into how they'd fit in, how they'd adjust at the club. So if you're getting to that point of it, then there must be serious interest there. But again, we're not the only ones that are going to be interested in Basuma. There'll be a lot of clubs looking at him. So yeah, there's definitely interest there. I think Canada, we all know that's going to happen. It's just a matter of crossing the T's and dotting the I's and stuff on that one. Getting the medical sorted out. Leipzig obviously have a cup final to take place in Germany. They know that they've lost their manager. You've got Jesse Marsch coming in from Salzburg now, coming up to become the Leipzig manager. He's going to probably be taking Patson Daka with him from Salzburg and bringing him to Leipzig. So he's going to probably want to try and have a chat with Canada and the likes to see if he can convince them to stay. I don't think he will. I think Canada is coming to Liverpool. I think we'll see that in the coming weeks. Then it's a matter of what else happens this summer. From a Liverpool perspective, we know that Shaqiri is available. Again, linked to Spain, Italy. We'd seen a few other bits and pieces as well around some of our other players. I'd seen something today actually from a Borussia Dortmund fan site or fan page that suggested that they were interested in Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain for €20 million. Now, one, I'd be astounded if that was a transfer that Borussia Dortmund were looking to get done, and two, I don't like the sound of €20 million. £17 million just doesn't sound enough for Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain to me. Somebody who's should be, in theory, 27 years of age, in the peak of his powers. Off-topic question, but what's your opinion of Frankie de Jong? Excellent footballer. I watch a lot of Barcelona, mate. I watched the game last night against Valencia. And it was a de Jong header that was palmed out for Griezmann to score the second goal, I think it was, last night. He's a very good footballer, Frankie de Jong. He really is. Liverpool won't be bringing in Haaland. Just anybody out there who believes that Liverpool are in for Haaland, forget about it. It is not the case. We won't pay the money. We won't pay his wages. We won't pay Mino Raiola his cut of the pie. So you can forget about Haaland and Liverpool. It just is not going to happen. Minamino to Sevilla, that's one that's been doing the rounds for a while, yes. Again, it doesn't look like he's going to cut the mustard in the Premier League at this moment in time. Hasn't been pulling up many trees at Southampton. Scored a few decent goals when he went there, but all in all, hasn't been getting the game time that he would have expected or hoped, and I can only assume that that's because he hasn't been showing the manager, Ralph Hasenhüttl in this case, what he's capable of in training, or at least what the manager wants to see. The only solace I can take from that is that we only paid £7.25 million for him, so if that's the case, I'm sure we'd get that money back moving him on. One that, and again, I want to get your opinion on this, ladies and gentlemen. For me, and I said this to Steve earlier on when we were recording the Anfield Agenda podcast, that I'd like to see one of Keita or Chamberlain moved on this summer. And I feel like you could make a valid argument for either one. Now, there are some people out there who are going to say sell both of them. And again, I understand where you're coming from, but it's also important that I point out that it's all well and good us playing fantasy Premier Manager on here and talking about moving players on, but somebody, one, has to be willing to pay a price that Liverpool are happy with, and two, has to be willing to compensate the player probably to the same tune as they're being paid at Liverpool, if not higher. And if they're not willing to do that, then we'll end up having to do it by payments of loyalty bonuses and stuff like this. So it's all very well saying move Naby on, move Oxlade-Chamberlain on, move Shaqiri on, move Origi on, but they're on contracts that they probably won't be offered elsewhere. So we have the second highest wage bill in the Premier League, and we don't have that because we pay any one single person a ridiculous amount of money, like 500 grand a week. Our highest earner, as we know, is somewhere circa around 200 grand a week, give or take a little bit either way. So all you can take from that is that we must have a fairly hefty wage bill all around. Our average wage must be fairly high. Now obviously some of that will be triggered by the fact that our contracts are incentivised and they've won a lot over the past couple of seasons, and that will probably bump up their wages, but they're not going to leave a huge pay packet to go somewhere else and earn less money unless Liverpool perhaps pay them off. And this brings me kind of full circle around to our time with Brendan Rodgers, when we were in this horrible situation of having a load of players who we took a punt on, that were on relatively high wages, that we probably paid over the odds for and can't shift on. And I don't want to get back to those days, so that's something we have to keep in mind when we're talking about transfers this summer. It's all well and good me saying go and sign Malin, go and sign whoever you want, Neto, go and sign Rafinha, go and sign whomever comes in, Basuma, but we need to free up wages, we need to free up squad places, and we need to free up overseas places, and to do that we need to move players on. So it's going to be an interesting one, and some of the best business that was done in the January window for me was done by Arsenal, getting rid of players like Ozil and stuff who were eating into their wage bill and taking up squad places. So yeah, let's wait and see how it figures out. Again, your input on this, folks, always appreciated. Love to know what you're thinking on this. Other stuff as well that I've seen over the last couple of days, nothing really, actually, if I'm being too honest with you. Nothing earth-shattering with regards to transfers. No real new news that I've been able to at least verify. I was speaking to Steve earlier on, who, as you know, does have really good sources in the media, having worked at the BBC and stuff, and nothing really from him either. Now, again, it could just be that everyone's knuckling down for the end of the season and players are getting themselves ready for the Euros and stuff like that, but yeah, let's wait and see. The amount of little bitches in the chat right now with their knickers in a twist over Jadon Sancho is absolutely fucking hilarious, and I promise you, I'm sitting here and I'm laughing my ass off inside because of the amount of little cretins that are in going, he won't join Liverpool, he wouldn't do that to me, he told me he liked my Insta post. Relax the fuck, it's only a transfer, it's only a conversation. You have no moral right to any player, and he has no affiliation to Manchester United. He's not sitting there in his Ole Gunnar Solskjaer shirt from 1999 praying that they come in for him. He'll go to whoever offers him the best contract and whoever offers him the best chance at progressing as a footballer, and anybody who thinks otherwise is completely fucking deluded. I'm sorry, but wrap your head around this for a second. You've had a bit of success this season at Manchester United, and I don't begrudge you it one bit, but don't start all of a sudden thinking that you can go around acting like Billy Big Bollocks and that every player is dying to play for Manchester United. They're all mercenaries at the end of the day. They all go wherever the biggest pay packet is, and they all go wherever the best sporting project is. And again, I put it to you good folk out there in Twitter world and on here in YouTube land, would you want to play for Jurgen Klopp, or would you want to play for Ole Gunnar Santos' little helper Solskjaer? Let's be fucking honest about it here. If I offered you both of these managers and a chance to play for them, you would crawl over broken glass to come and play for Jurgen Norbert Klopp, and that, my friends, is a fact. So if you don't like that, and you're not old enough to comprehend that what I'm saying has some sense to it, then this isn't probably the channel for you. Because I just tell things like I see them on here. I don't blow smoke up people's arse. I don't say the things you want me to say. I say what's on my fucking mind, and if you don't like that, then TTFN. I know you will get the TTFN one, little children. I know you will. How do I join the channel? Hit the subscribe button, Evan, and if you do want to become a member, there is a link to the top of the chat there. You can become a member of Anfield Agenda FC, where you get to join our Discord group, you get to have the Anfield Agenda logo beside your name, you get all the emojis and stuff as well. I love the way I was the United fans' darling over the past few weeks, and then today when I mentioned Sancho, all of a sudden there's rocks being thrown everywhere at me. Kill him! Kill him! Relax. All good, folks. All good. What happened to the goodwill? Just chill. What do you think will happen with Matip? I fear, Norman, that we'll be stuck with him because of what I said earlier on. He just signed a new contract a year ago. He's 31, if my memory's right, with regards to age, and I don't see many people are going to be queuing up to pay the wages that he's probably on now, having signed when his contract would have been up at Liverpool. So I would say we're probably going to be stuck with Matip. And I would move him on. I would absolutely move him on. If we could sign Kabak, Kanade, have Van Dijk, Gomez, and let's just say other, whether that's Billy Comedio, whether that's Joel Matip, whether that's, I don't know, Sepp van den Berg, who's probably going to go back out on loan to Preston, or maybe that's Reece Williams. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But I'm also intrigued by the possibility of us going to play with 3 at the back at some point. What have we got? You're a different person on Mundo and here, just saying. Well, obviously, mate, this is a Liverpool channel. Like I've always said, I keep my bias for the Liverpool channel. When I'm on Mundo Sporto, I'm far more open and I'm far more honest. And I'm not honest, that's not the right phrase. I'm far more open and I'm far more on the fence because it's not a Liverpool channel. And I've always promised that I will be exactly that. I will be exactly impartial, I will call things fairly, and I will talk down the middle. But I'm a Liverpool fan, and I've always pointed that out. So to come to a Liverpool channel and expect me not to talk about Liverpool in a positive way, I'm not here to blow smoke up United fans' arse. I respect them, I thank them for their kindness, and I want to have them in our chat. But at the end of the day, I want your club to do shit, and I want my club to do really well. And I can't get away from that fact. So there you go. If you don't understand that and you think I'm a different person on 2 channels, obviously I'm emotionally invested in what happens at Liverpool Football Club. I'm not emotionally invested in what happens at Arsenal, United, City, Chelsea or anybody else. Surely you can understand that. I did get the reputation for being the angry Liverpool fan because of a reason. I am emotionally invested in this football club. Trent or Wan-Bissaka, 2 very different players but 2 excellent right backs, mate. I mean, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, as I've said time and time again, is one of the best one-on-one fullbacks I've seen in many, many a day. He's excellent at what he does, but Trent is a swashbuckling, all-attack, beautiful spray of passes, knows how to cross the ball, and great at a set piece. Different styles of fullbacks, but 2 very good players in different ways. It's 90% not happening, but I hope we get Pulisic. I would say it's even higher than 90%, mate. I'd say it's just not happening because he's really starting to find form and a place now in that Chelsea squad. I'm still raging that we didn't go for Christian Pulisic when he was available, that Chelsea got him. I said it at the time, people mocked me about it. I said Christian Pulisic will be ideal for Liverpool and he's an absolute baller, and people were like, he's overhyped, he's doing shit at Chelsea. Again, you need to give players time to settle, and yeah, I would happily have him at Liverpool. But yeah, I'm still laughing at that comment. You're completely different on Mundo Sporto, just saying. Obviously, I don't get how you don't see the difference. I'm still the same polite, nice person that has a bit of fun and interacts, but I love my football club, mate. If not Sancho, would I take Reina? Yes, that's a really good point. And Gio Reyna is somebody who I brought to your attention with Klopp's interest about 18 months ago. Jurgen Klopp has been tracking Gio Reyna for a really long time, and he is a sensational player. And I don't know if that tracking or that following of him will turn into an offer at some point. I don't know, but he's doing bits at Dortmund. Grabbed himself some more goals again recently. I think he scored 2 in the last game if my memory's right, and is definitely somebody who was a quality footballer, definitely. Is Sancho going to Liverpool? Haven't got a clue, mate. Same way you haven't got a clue if he's going to United or City or anybody else. All I do on this channel for these news stories is I go through the media, pull out stories I've seen, bring them in, and we have a chat about them. But some people who aren't used to our channel seen the title and got their knickers in a twist at the start. I don't do the ITK stuff. I don't claim to have knowledge and stuff I don't have. We just have a conversation on here and we talk about things. And one of the stories today was that Sancho's been linked with Liverpool, and there's a gentleman's agreement in place with Michael Zorc, the sporting director at Dortmund, that says he can leave if certain conditions are met at the end of the season, and I'm sure them conditions are basically the right money. But I don't know, is the honest answer, mate. I've no idea if he'll end up at Liverpool, if he'll end up at United, if he'll end up elsewhere. I know United have put in a lot of groundwork, but again, as has been the case with a lot of transfers for United in recent years, for whatever reason, whether it be Ed Woodward, whether it be the money, I don't know, they didn't manage to get it over the line, or whether it was just Dortmund not wanting to sell. There is that as well. Would you sell Firmino? Again, funny you mention it, Devon, because it's a topic that we talked about today on the podcast, and he has once again been linked with a move to Atletico Madrid. And I often say that, again, this could be just me, but I often say that when I think of certain players and potential of them moving on, I see them in certain shirts. So, for instance, I could never see Mohamed Salah in a Barcelona shirt. I could only see him in a Madrid shirt. I could see Harry Kane in a United shirt. There's certain players I just think suit certain clubs or would fit in at certain clubs. And the Firmino to Atleti link, to me, this feels like the right type of link, if that makes any sense. I can understand how he'd fit in at Atletico Madrid, why they'd want him, and he's probably somebody that they feel at this moment in time after the season that he's had with us, they could probably get for a reasonable fee and offset the drop in pace or the drop in intensity from his usual Premier League levels to that in the Spanish League, which has a little bit less intensity in it. So I can understand the link, and the long-winded answer here I'm giving is yes. If the right offer came in, I think I'd be okay. But I love Bobby Firmino. He's my favourite player, so it is really hard to say that, but I can see it. I can see the link. I can see it making sense with regards to if João Felix or Suarez moved on there, and I can see how he'd be a Diego Simeone type of player, and I could see how he'd work in the Spanish League, and I could see him in an Atleti shirt. So yeah, I think keep an eye on that situation is all I'll say. There's no doubt Klopp loves him. There's no doubt I love him. But there's also no doubt that he hasn't, not only have the goals dried up, as Steve said in the pod earlier on, the performances have dried up a little bit this season, and I just wonder if it is because he's at that tipping point at his fitness levels where maybe Father Time's starting to catch up with him. Thoughts of Coutinho being linked with Everton? I don't really have many emotions around Coutinho. I don't want him back at Liverpool. He wasn't good enough to make it at Bayern Munich. Barcelona don't want him for whatever reason, and he's obviously been shopped around every club in Europe at this point by his agent and that, and if Everton are the only club that are willing to pay a fee for him, then he goes to Everton. It doesn't make any difference to me. The day he feigned injury and forced his way out of Liverpool is the day I lost all respect for him anyway, so yeah, mate. Oh, God. Can all the United fans just fuck off getting their knickers in a twist over Sancho? Honest to God, just go to the website of all these people putting the articles out and cry at them, because I'm not here to dry up your tears, folks. I'm not here to do it. Bobby should stay, said George. D-Reels is just a little bitch, isn't he? Honest to God, mate. You're clearly a child, so I'm going to do you a favour and just hide you, because I don't want to look at your stupid comments anymore. It's time for Firmino to go, said Devon. So we can see how it's split here, and I can understand, like I'll say in a lot of stuff, I can understand the arguments both ways on it. Wonder how much they will buy Firmino for. I think the figure's been mentioned, mate, are around 65 million euro. So what's that, about 57 million pounds, something like that, which maybe seems on the lower side of acceptable, if you get where I'm coming from. How was your weekend? It was good, thank you, Addison. Yeah, I had an enjoyable, calm weekend, mate. Really busy few days coming up, so here's what's going to be unfolding over the next 3 days, ladies and gents. I will be on Anfield Agenda at 7 p.m. for the next 3 days, doing the news show live at 7 o'clock. Then I'll be jumping over to Mundo Sporto. Tomorrow I'll be doing a watch-along over there of the Manchester City game against Paris Saint-Germain from 7:30 or 7:45. So I hope you can join me for that. On Wednesday I'll be doing the other semi-final, Chelsea against Real Madrid, and then on Thursday I'm kind of torn. I was planning on doing the Arsenal game. Connor said I should probably kind of do both games, but I think the Manchester United tie is dead. I think they've got their place booked in the final. Eggy boy, white boy. Nothing like a bit of casual racism, mate. Your parents must be really fucking proud of you. Eggy boy, white boy. Brilliant, mate. I mean, it's probably the first time I've had white thrown at me as an insult. Eggy boy? I mean, okay. We could also have white Malteser, potato, your L1's favourite, whichever you want, mate. But eggy boy, white boy. Nothing like a bit of casual racism dropped in there. You are definitely the apple of your father's eye, wherever he may be. Right, what else have we got? Where was I? I was talking about something then, wasn't I? Yeah, and then on Thursday, I don't know, I might do a kind of co-watch along of both games, or I might do just the Arsenal game. But that's where we are for the next 3 days anyway. 7 o'clock on here, and then we'll do a watch along for the Europa League and the Champions League games. Absolutely no to racism, mate, in every way, shape or form, which is why he was booted out straight away. He's just another little dope, mate, with nothing better to do. So let's not give him the attention he craves so much. United tie is done, do Arsenal. That's what I was thinking, mate. I mean, you know, United have absolutely battered Roma there in that first leg. There's no way Roma are coming back. So, yeah, I probably will end up doing the Arsenal one. Yeah, it makes more sense. So, Bobby goes, who would you like in? See, this is where I mention Sancho's name and people lose their fucking minds again. Sancho, Rafinha, Neto, Ismail Assar, any of those type of players, or Malen if you want a real number 9. And the more I look into Daniel Malen from PSV Eindhoven, and I'll be the first to admit, a month or so ago I didn't know too much about this dude at all, but I've been watching more and more stuff, and I can see something about him that I could understand why Klopp would be interested. He has that je ne sais quoi, if you get where I'm coming from. He has that thing. I don't know if it's an inner will or a drive. Just something about the lad that I can understand the link. So, yeah, somewhere along there. Luka Jovic, no, not for us. Personally think Daka would suit us. It looks like he's going to go to Leipzig, mate, with Jesse Marsch, the manager of Salzburg, who's stepping in at the end of the season to take over from Julian Nagelsmann, who's gone to Bayern Munich. And there's been talk that he's going to take Patson Daka with him and promote him, kind of like a promotion up to Leipzig, which we've seen similar players go that path before. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if that's going to be the case. And I think, from what I've read, at least, that's what they think will happen with Patson Daka. Gravenberch is brilliant. Gravenberch is a brilliant player. Again, I think 18 if my memory's right. And I'd have no problem with Liverpool looking to sign Gravenberch, but again, you're talking about somebody who, you know, probably isn't ready yet. And if we're losing Gini Wijnaldum, and some of our other players are getting on a bit, I think that Yves Bissouma, someone around that age bracket, probably makes more sense with a bit more experience. But he's a very good player. What do I think about Antoine Griezmann? He's changed my opinion a little bit, actually, in recent times at Barcelona. He's starting to settle in a bit more to that team now and contribute a bit more than he did do in the early days. Not for Liverpool, but my opinion of him is shifting a bit. I really loved him when he broke through, when he was coming through at Atleti, when he had Gamero with him at the same time. I thought they were formidable, the two of them. Really high work rate, really good press from Gamero, lethal stuff from Griezmann. Then he kind of tapered off a bit when he went to Barca, but now I'm kind of coming back around a bit to Griezmann. But no, for Liverpool. What do I think about Canade? From what perspective? Excellent player, very similar to, or very likely to sign for Liverpool. Again, if you look into his injury record, you'll see a bit of a patchy record, but three of those are one main injury that dragged on and he came back too early. The release clause has been rumoured. I've heard anything from 35 million to 45 million. Again, that keeps changing, but we'll wait and see. But he will move at the end of the year, and 95% to Liverpool. What else have we got? Valverde for Salah. No, not for me, thank you very much. Do you think Liverpool will go all out this summer with transfers? No, I think 3 players in, 4 or 5 out makes sense to me. Maybe 4 in, depending on who goes out. Kabak or Canade, I would imagine will go for both, to be honest. Realistically, I mean, as well, I think we'll probably sign both. What else have we got before we finish up? Malen, Canade, Kabak and a permanent, and Aouar would be a good window. I'd have no problems with that window, Mark. None whatsoever. And look, they're all signings, mate, that I would say are even realistic. With us not being in the Champions League, I would say that they're all signings that we could realistically go for. Sauce linked with Pedri. No way Barca are going to let him go. They're not going to want to let their younger players go. Would Canade start alongside VVD? I don't know. There was a really good piece, I think it was written by Andrew Beasley in The Echo, that spoke about the potential of Liverpool going to a 3-5-2 formation, and I don't hate it. I've got to be honest with you, I don't hate it. But you'd have to have 5 or 6 centre backs ready to go to play that system. Aouar's class, do I agree? Yes, he's a very, very tidy footballer. What do I think about Ousmane Dembele? Yeah, look, again, interesting. 1 year left on his Barcelona contract at the end of the season. I don't know what the plan is there for Barcelona, if they'd have the finance in place to offer him a deal that would make him happy, if he's happy with the game time he's getting. There's a lot of unknowns there, but I've also seen other articles suggesting he could be available for 40 to 50 million. Now, not just for Liverpool, but I would say for any of the top clubs, the risk-reward ratio there is probably about right. And if Dembele was available for somewhere between 40 to 50 million pound, I would think that if Liverpool, United, Arsenal, Spurs, any of these English clubs that have a few quid or at least want to push in the right direction, I left City out of that because I think they're probably sorted in that area. But yeah, I think the risk-reward ratio is not too bad on that one if you can get him for the right price. We need Mbappe. Yeah, mate, look, nothing would make me happier, Devon. Honestly, I would be doing somersaults. Yeah, well, of course my fat ass would be doing somersaults, but I'd definitely be doing tuck rolls, 5-year-old rolls across the sitting room floor if that was to happen, but I don't think it will. Will Liverpool get a proper backup for Trent, or will they go with Nico? A good question, and honestly one that I've gone back and forth on, mate, and I think it's one of these again where I can see both sides of the argument. I can see why people want Trent midfield. I can see why people may want a bit more of a defensive. Not to say Trent can't defend, because of course he can, but if we go to a 3-5-2, then Trent suddenly makes sense on that right side, even more so, if you get where I'm coming from. Hudson Edouard is another interesting one. 1 year left, if I'm right. Now, I don't follow Scottish football too much, but I think 1 year left on his Celtic contract. But I also read a story that suggested that he would turn down somewhere like Liverpool because he would be concerned about game time. I don't know how true that is or not, but that's a tough one to make a decision on, Edouard, because it's easy to look good up in Scotland, but then again, I've made this argument before about players and they've gone on to do great things in the Premier League or elsewhere. So yeah, I mean, that's a difficult one. I think somebody should take a punt on him though, somebody in the Premier League. Thoughts on João Felix and Lautaro Martinez? Two different players. I prefer Lautaro Martinez in that scenario. João Felix, incredibly gifted footballer. Still don't understand how he went for as much money as he did to Atleti at the time. That's probably stunted his development a little bit. Maybe the style of football at Atleti doesn't really suit João Felix either. But I can't see him coming to Liverpool, so I think we can stick a nail in that one. Nor can I see Lautaro Martinez coming to Liverpool, but I wouldn't say no. I mean, he is a very, very tidy footballer. I think, again, City will be having a sniff around there, probably United will be having a sniff around there, and many, many other clubs, because he's a very good footballer, Lautaro Martinez. Very good. Renato Sanchez, that's one that just won't go away, Andre, mate. It's one, obviously, with Lille doing so well, he's gone off there, rebuilt his career a bit. They look like they could go on and win Ligue 1 this year, and fair play to them if they do. I mean, there was a really exciting game between Monaco and Lyon last night that was batshit crazy in the best way. So I don't know about Renato Sanchez, because I've seen the two sides of him. I've seen him coming through looking like a world beater at Benfica, and then I've seen him at Bayern Munich, and I've seen him at Swansea looking absolute dire, but I haven't seen any of his time at Lille. So if the manager wants him and the manager trusts his own judgment and the scouting reports, then, you know, there could be value to be had there. Trossard is somebody who I think goes under the radar, Matthew. Very fine footballer. Brighton have no shortage of talent there, especially young people coming through. They've picked up a few gems as well. Obviously, taking the young kid, the young fullback from Chelsea, who wasn't going to get a look in there because of Reece James breaking through. And he had an injury early on in the season, but he's a huge talent. Obviously, they've got the mix right there as well with Lallana going in. They've got Bissouma in there. Danny Welbeck, by the way, did you see his goal the other day? Danny Welbeck with the Cruyff turn and the finish. What a finish that was. Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of time for Brighton and Potter and the way he plays football. I was actually really disappointed when they fired Chris Hughton a long time ago. I was pretty annoyed at Brighton, but Potter's done some good things there, and I can see I can see them wanting to keep as much of that group together as they can, and maybe it'll be the likes of Basuma that could move on. I've seen a few clubs in Europe actually interested in Ben White as well. We spoke about him months ago when he'd been linked to Liverpool, but I've seen a few articles suggesting there are clubs in Europe looking at Ben White now as well. Thoughts on the back three next season? You need the personnel to do it. If we had Gomez, Van Dijk, Kabak, Kanade, Matip, and a youngster, yeah, why not? Give it a try. I can see the rhyme and reason to it, and it would give us a different ability to attack. Yeah, I've nothing against playing three at the back. It's something I've thought about at Liverpool for a while. But you need the personnel. Would I bring Roos to Liverpool? No, his time is come and gone. Too injury prone. Sancho in for Bobby. That's what I was kind of hinting at earlier on, Shane, when the United fans were losing their minds about how dare you be linked to Sancho. But if we were to move Bobby on and you got about 55 million from, let's say, throw another 25 on top of that, get yourself Sancho, I mean, I wouldn't be against it. It doesn't solve our number 9 problem, but if you got rid of Origi and Shaqiri, then maybe you fund a Daniel Malin or a Patson Daka if he doesn't go to Leipzig, or somebody else of that ilk, and Utsen Edward maybe. Do you think Camavinga would be a good signing? He would, but I think, is his contract up at the end of the year, or has he only got 1 year left? I know that he's been linked everywhere in Europe. Didier Deschamps singing his praises as well. An outstanding young French talent who will have no shortage of offers this season. So yeah, I think not one for Liverpool, I don't see in the near future, but an extremely talented player. Put Salah in the middle and Sancho on the wing. Mate, I have said that for a long time, and I have no problem pushing Mohamed Salah through the centre. As players age, sometimes they lose pace and explosiveness, and we've seen Messi and Ronaldo reinvent themselves as they've gotten into their 30s, and I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Mohamed Salah push through the centre. Because one thing that is inarguable about Mo Salah is his goal scoring record since he's come to Liverpool. It has been sensational. Ndidi from Leicester, again, wonderful footballer, but Leicester are not going to be selling their talent this summer. They are a club who will not be pushed around in the transfer market, who are building something that they want to be special there at the King Power. They've got great owners. They've been exceptional in the business they've done as well when they brought in the players that they brought in to replace Maguire, Fofana and Sancho, absolute bargains. Ndidi, incredible footballer. Go right back to the days of N'Golo Kante and stuff. They're a very shrewd club, and a club I have a lot of respect for, so I don't see us paying the premium that it would take to get players out of Leicester City. So if you're talking to Harvey Barnes, Wilfred Ndidi, whomever it might be, you will pay that premium because they won't be pushed around in the market, and you'll pay top dollar, and I don't see Liverpool doing that in this window. I don't know when we're playing United, mate. I honestly haven't got a Scooby on that one. As soon as we get more information, of course I'll come on and do it. Midfielders I would like: Aouar, Valverde, De Jong, Gravenberch and Tielemans. Again, look, I looked through that list of players, mate, and they're all quality players, but I look at the realistic nature of them, and I can only really see Aouar as somebody who's potentially available in our bracket, if that makes sense. What do I think will happen with Tsimikas? Honestly, yeah, it's a really good point, because Ben Davies is invisible at this point. Nobody has a clue what's going on there, but Kostas Tsimikas, it's not that he hasn't been given a chance this season. I just think between injuries, COVID, and maybe what the manager's seeing on the training ground, and look, I don't know that because I'm not there at Kirby every day, but it is an intriguing one, isn't it? And we can't afford to go another season with no support for Robbo at left back. I mean, yes, James Milner can drop in and do a bit there, and we've got a few youngsters, but we bought Tsimikas in to be the Robbo cover. So I don't know if maybe we end up in the Europa League, if some of the only benefits of that might be that we'd see Tsimikas get more game time, we'd see maybe Elliott come back and get more game time, maybe Queevy and Kelleher get more game time, and it helps us bring through the Nico Williams and players like that as well. Because look, there has to be some benefits to the Europa League if we're to try and find any, and that's one of the few benefits that I can think of. Okay, loads of lovely people in saying Rants Army. Fair play to you all. Hello. I don't take L's, Tom. I don't understand what the letter L is, mate. I'm just a dub merchant, fella. So you can. Hello to everyone that's raiding us from Rants Army. I don't know what the fuck you want me to say to that, but there you are. Hello to you all, welcome. Always nice to see new people in. I don't take L's though, so there's no point in talking about them, mate. I mean, do you know what I mean? They don't hand out these YouTube silver play buttons for L's. We're dub merchants in here, so there you are. Yeah, what else we got? It means loser. I'm well fucking aware what it means, mate. Hence the reason I'm saying I don't take L's. I'm well aware of what it means. Rodrigo de Paul, Keane is saying, again, from what I've heard, mate, he's very close to AC Milan, from what I've been told. Again, Leeds looked at him last year. We've looked at him. And it hasn't gone any further than that. But I think keep an eye on the AC Milan situation there with Rodrigo de Paul. Right, look, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, I will be back tomorrow at 7 PM on here, and then we'll be over on Mundo Sporto from 7:45 doing a watch along of the Manchester City game against Paris Saint-Germain. I hope you can join me for that one. Hit the subscribe button, drop a like on the video. I will talk to you good folk tomorrow. Have a lovely evening. Lots of love to all of you. Hello to everyone that dropped in to us on the little raid earlier on there as well. Nice to see you all. And look, as always, folks, be well, be safe, lots of love, and up the Reds. I'll talk